right. Hello, everybody. Rachel with Dakota Wind Meat Goats. And it is July 26th out here at the farm. Of course, there is a heat advisory, and gotta start cleaning up weeds. So I gotta get some of these hoses that are buried in here out. So you get to see me struggle with this. Okay then. Got that. Big hoses. Not a lot of fun to deal with. Ooh, much nicer right here. Yeah, so yesterday we moved these gals up here because it's just a little bit cooler up here. They can catch a breeze. And the weanlings are doing much better. Oh, you girls need water, huh? Yeah. I think I might actually get you guys 2 buckets of water. It's not dangerous at all. Okay, water. Okay, so everybody's enjoying the breeze coming through, enjoying having a nice bedded down barn. Yes, there's flies, because there's flies everywhere in the summer. I wish that little guy would go move with his mummy, but they like to sit in front of that fan. Whew. So my sister is up cleaning barns, so we're gonna go take a gander and see what she's doing. Oh, and if anybody ever wondered what type of feed that we do, crete feed. Let's see if I can peel up a label here. Purina Delta Lamb NU breeder, medicated. Yeah. So more formulated for sheep because there's not a lot out there formulated for goats. Whew. Just got a heat advisory on my phone. I was gonna bring the mower down and mow some of this, but I think I may wait until hopefully it cools off this evening. Then I'll come out here with the mower. There's a hill of built up this dirt here. It's kind of a clayey, gumbo-y kind of thing that we used as the pad underneath of our hoop barn. And there's a big hill of it here because the guys who did the pad brought more than what they needed. So weeds still grow on it though. So I don't even bother to take the weeds off of that because it's almost impossible. So they cleaned up most of the weeds in that yard, which is nice. They've got a nice dry place to play, and they've been eating on the hay. So that's good. And there's a big weed patch right here we've taken down. And we're going to let the goats on there to clean up the rest of it. So we took this down again. There's a lot of alfalfa mixed into it, and some, of course, cheatgrass. I'm gonna check this because I think we got it all taken down yesterday with the Moco. Yeah, it's still wet. Yeah, so it needs a day to dry on this side. Then we'll flip it over and probably give it a couple hours on the other side. Then it'll probably be good to bale with this heat and the wind that knocked all the humidity out of the air, which is nice. This 96 degree heat doesn't feel like 96 degree heat. there's just a line of bales there. And we didn't take down the grass, we just took down where the alfalfa was. And of course, there's our fall kidders, our yearlings and our 2-year-olds out there enjoying. Surprised they haven't gone down into the creek, but on top of the hill is where the wind is. And we do have a water tank over here that I'm going to go check on. So our plan is to have those girls go over and graze on here. So we didn't take all of this down so they can graze on the grass. And we're taking some of the weeds down, but not all of them. And here's their water tank for out here. Boy, I don't know about the rest of you folks that have some pasture land, but the thistles have been awful this year. I don't know if it's just because it's a wet year, and all the flooding, but we're trying to get rid of them. Yeah, it's nice and cool. So it's nice having when we got our Mid-Dakota water dug in, which I guess this is a thing that's just for eastern South Dakota, so if you haven't heard of it, what they're doing is they're piping treated water, I do believe, from the Missouri River. So when we put it in, we fortunately were convinced to put a hydrant right here, which is really nice, because then this pasture here that the girls are in have water, so they can be out here all day and still have access to water. So really nice thing. Of course, the goats are heading into the wind. So with it being so hot out, we make sure that they have multiple ways to get water. And that's our little tree belt there. It's coming on nicely, even though some of it did fall a little bit into the fence. But if you let your goats into the trees, they're gonna destroy your tree belt. Even though they love being in there, they like stripping the bark off. And we really wish we could put this really tiny, cold fence everywhere, because the goats don't get their heads stuck into it. But unfortunately, with the price of everything, that got to be where we couldn't. So eventually, we're gonna let the weanlings out into this. But it looks like it might be drying up enough to where we can clean that yard. Whoop, geez, pheasant. Okay, that's still cool. So when the yearlings and 2-year-olds come up, then they can drink out of here as well. And then we have water tanks up by the barn too that they can drink out of. But with 110 head, we like to have multiple ways where they can drink, so they don't push some of the other younger ones away from the water. So as you can see, we took this down, we just took down where the concentration of alfalfa is. When we got this planted, the idea was that this was supposed to be pasture with a little bit of alfalfa mixed into it. Well, I think the person that planted it, their seeder got a little too much alfalfa into there, so we're ending up taking some of this down. Where there's grass, we're leaving it, kind of mowing around it, then the goats can eat that grass, and we can take the alfalfa for beef. So that's always nice. And then we've got this little patch of alfalfa here, which is starting to grass in. Again, no big deal. We've got our big field of alfalfa. But this looks like this is going to produce actually quite a few bales off sure that you've got enough hay for everybody. The water there, because the bucks are in here. So we swapped places where the fall kidders were, and we put the bucks up here because the fall kidders had really mowed it down, and there's not that many bucks out here, so they can pick and choose where they graze at. So here is another patch of alfalfa, and we also put bales up here. We have a hay yard down or up north, and then we have this hay yard in south, because in the winter time, if it gets to where we can't get to our northern hay yard, then we have these bales sitting up here in the south that we can get to. Hello, Gizmo. So just out here checking to see how the yard or the barn cleaning's going. We haven't cleaned this barn for quite a while. And this is up at my brother's place, and we rent this from him. Okay, so we moved our 2 bottle calves up here, and I'm taking it that this is kind of where they're gonna be kept for a little while. That's a little bit of a dip coming off of there. A little bit. Yeah. So I think I've mentioned before that I really don't like running equipment. It's not my forte. It just isn't. My sister, on the other hand, she's off of work. She works in healthcare, so she's off of work for a good long stretch for right now. So she is cleaning this lovely thing. Ugh, yuck. Oh, might have to go and get a pitchfork and clean out the sides. So this last spring, when we had quite a bit of rain come through, it actually came through the barn and pooled here, so this needed to be cleaned out. Oof, that doesn't smell very good, does it, Gizzy? Oh, Gizzy's like, oh yes. So this is where it kind of bucks on her a little bit. Should I get a pitchfork? Yeehaw. Whoops. And we don't have the newest equipment again, but this little skid steer does a good job. Get out of there! Oh, these dogs. Oh, goodness. Alright, I think I'm going to grab a pitchfork and see if I can get the stuff around the edges out of there. So we have a lot of places on our farm that can use the manure. So what we're going to do is we're going to pile it there, probably leave it for a year, and then we'll put it in our manure spreader and go spread it out on grassland, fields that have a little hard pan hanging in there. Thought there was a pitchfork here. It might have gotten broke. So yeah, you know, it's cheaper in the long run than fertilizer, chemical fertilizer. Better for the land, better for the wallet. Okay, so I get to do the fun part, and I tell you what, whew, after you get done doing this for a couple of hours, oh, my eyes are watering. You don't smell very good. You don't smell very good at all. Let's see if I can actually get some of this stuff up. So, this is the not fun part, is doing this by hand. But it's really hard to get as close to the edge that you need to without breaking out the pitchfork. So cleaning barns is not fun, but it is essential to the health of your livestock. This is when I wish my nephew didn't have a job off the farm. So we'll clean this barn and let it air out. And, oh gosh. I can't relate to you how much this stinks, but if you've ever cleaned a barn, you know that smell. I have to take a shower as soon as I get home. I'm gonna smell just like this. Pretty perfume. So I remember doing this. We used to have cows, and you'd bring your Walkman with, and that's how you do it. Yep, I'm old enough where I had a Walkman. Now you got your phones. Miss my Walkman. There we go. She was having a little trouble getting out. Manure makes it slick at the threshold. Holy crap, I think I'm about done with the old pitchforking. Feel like I did a pretty good job. We are under a heat advisory. What am I doing? I'm shoveling manure in one of the hottest barns that we've got. Don't mind leaving it a little piled up around the edges, so hopefully it'll keep the water out. I think the last time we cleaned it, we might have cleaned a bit of the gravel away. The next barn we clean more than likely be our wood barn. And I have to say, even though that one's really low and it's hard for the skid steer to maneuver around, it is nice and cool in that wood barn. So that one, we don't mind so much. Cleaning that one. I think I'm just gonna leave this. Whoop. Yeah, I don't think I can handle doing any more out of the corners.
Yeah.
I'm about tapped out and it's hotter than blazes of hell in here. I'm like, God, the one bat, you know, I know we hate cleaning the wood barn because there's not that much room. At least it's cool in there.
There's nothing
There's
in here.
nothing in here. And I figure some of this stuff that's still over here, I'm like, that'll keep hopefully the rainwater out. You know, that stuff over there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say let's be done because
Yeah.
I don't want to dip it too much in
Yeah,
there either.
because then you can't get up.
Exactly.
And no big deal. You know, it's not that much.
It's better than it was.
Yes, and it'll get nice and, whew. I did dig a little bit out of that corner, but if you want to leave it, you can.
Yeah, I won't be able to pick it up.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I don't know if you want me to scoop it in there. I gotta stand out in the, okay. I'm like, I gotta stand out in the wind. So we made the decision that this is good enough. We can't clean all of this out because there's this metal berm and can't get the skid steer in and out if we clean this away. So we're just gonna leave this. It'll dry up and it won't be too bad. So one barn down, red tin shed, wood barn, hoop barn to go. We ain't gotta do it today. 96 degrees out, heat advisory. You know, of course we're out here doing this. So, because you just kind of gotta do the things when there's no rain. And then on the days when there is rain, that's when you get a break. There is. One day we'll spread it on the fields.